Hello guys, welcome back to Dunking Monkey. Today we are going to do another request video in Discord. It's about centers lineups, which center is the best at which lineup, and who has a fixed pair with other players. Today we are going to find out in this video. Before the video starts, smash the subscribe button and join my Discord. Now let's begin. Let's start with the centers in global first. Pau Gasol. Now Gasol is the best spacing center in global. So obviously he is very great at spacing lineups. In spacing lineups, you can pair him up with different players. In terms of scorers, there are Wade and Shai. In terms of defenders, it's basically available defender. He can fit more than spacing lineups. He can be used in lineups who needs mass amount of screens. He has one of the best screens in the game. Since he can space, he can also play in baseline ISO, which requires a spacing center and a defender that can shoot to clear the space on the baseline for the scorer to play. The most used baseline ISO scorer is Guo Allen, but Guo Allen is more played with another spacing center. I will mention her later. They are basically fixed partners. For Gasol's fixed partner, it's Luka Doncic. The combination of Pau Gasol and Luka Doncic is the best lineup behind spacing Wade and Shai. Gasol can give Luka the great screens he needs, and then decides whether he wants to pick and roll pick and pop. Gasol's pop is the best in the game. Luka's magic pass also solves the inconsistency of Gasol's three, while having great offensive threat. The downside of this lineup is mid-defense. Then it's Hakeem Olajuwon. Since he cannot space, he can only play in ISO lineups, where on offense the center paint camps or spaces long too. ISO lineups are used when the scorer is not strong enough to play in a spacing lineup. Since you have to keep pass and reset the ball, the short passing distance in ISO lineups is ideal for that. In ISO lineups, you can pair him with a lot of players. You can pair him up with scorers like Prime Braun, Harden, Curry and Shai. Other alternatives like Dirk Lamelo or Pierce can also be used. The defenders in ISO lineups should be able to space, or else the spacing will be too packed. Hakeem doesn't have a fixed partner, and if Hakeem's buff in Taiwan won't come in the next update, he will be replaced by Karl Malone. He is better offense, rebounding and with very decent defense. Now let's move on to Anthony Davis. He is the best defensive center in global, and is still the only solution to spacing lineups. When you are using Anthony Davis, you want to maximize his help defensive threat. You can pair him up with another help defensive menace, Jimmy Butler, or use him with a scorer that has defensive abilities, Russ, Prime Braun and Pierce. And since he cannot space the floor, he can play in ISO lineups too, with Kevin Durant, Harden and Curry. Examples. Then it's Nikola Jokic. When you choose to use Jokic, it basically means you are going for only offense. His fixed partner is Jamal Murray. Both being able to dash after screens, it's relatively hard to guard, but the lineup is not as overpowered as it was after Murray's nerf, and future scorers will most likely have defensive mechanics to keep up the dash. People like to use him with Curry more due to his best screens in the game, and people underestimated his passes. He can deliver the ball the second Curry finds space. As a spacing center, he obviously can play in spacing lineups too. Prime Braun, Shai, Wade and Russ are all great players to fit in. Then moving on to Giannis. Global server hasn't received the buff yet, so Giannis still is only available in dunking lineups, which he is often the scorer, not the center. However, after the buff, Giannis quickly became one of the best centers in Taiwan. He can do his double pump dunk without ultimate, which gives him the ability to gamble when the scorer can't score, making him able to play in ISO lineups, but the downside is the lack of spacing. His fixed player is Drew Holiday, which Global currently doesn't have. He helps Giannis to gain morale faster, which is insanely important, no matter if they are playing dunking lineups or ISO lineups. Then it's Dennis Rodman. He is a one-trick pony that's only good at rebounding. As you might have guessed, since he cannot space, he can only be played in ISO lineups. He has basically no offense and defense. I only recommend using Rodman in solo queue for bum teammates. Trio players are smarter and seldom throw stupid shots. The lesser the rebound in a game, the lower the value of Rodman. Now Rodman also has a fixed player. His name is Dirk Nowitzki. Dirk spams 3 and Rodman grabs board. While it is still competitive in global, in Taiwan this lineup is already out of meter. It lacks too much defense. Now let's move on to Taiwan. Let's start with Karl Malone. He is launching to global next Wednesday. Karl Malone is another center that cannot shoot 3 south, but his mid-range is the most consistent among all centers. Similar to Hakeem, he has the ability to play ISO ball. This allows him to pair up with basically every scorer in the game. He can pair up with weaker scorers like Harden, or pair up with meter scorers like Wade, Shai and Bron. Other ISO centers like AD or Rodman lacks the ability to play ISO ball. If they play with a scorer that has no skills, they cannot do anything on offense. Now moving on to Hangsu. She is basically the best spacing center in the game. You can think her like a better Gasol. Better defense, rebound and accuracy. As a spacing center, she obviously plays in spacing lineups. With even a higher shooting threat than Gasol, people are more often leaving dunks than 3-pointers. And since she spaces the floor, she also fits in baseline ISO lineups. Guo Alan needs Hangsu to be good, but she doesn't fit in any other lineups. I'm talking the next two at once, Liuru and Yi Jianlian. Both are spacing centers and plays in spacing and baseline ISO lineups. Compared to Hangsu, both are worse in rebounding and defense. They also cannot fit in any other lineups other than spacing and baseline ISO lineups. Then it's Alonzo Mourning. He is a center that cannot spaces the floor, so he only plays in ISO lineups. But here is the awkward part. Giannis after the buff is literally a better version of Alonzo Mourning. Both can do double pump dunks, but Giannis has better defense and rebounding. He also doesn't have a fixed player to pair with. Moving on to Cot. He is another spacing center, so he definitely plays in spacing lineups. He has the ability to play some ISO ball on the perimeter too, and he also has one of the best screens and passes the ball pretty well, so he definitely can play in lineups that involve screens. His best pair would be Curry or Allen. Compared to Gasol, Cot has weaker defense but better offense. Before moving on to our last Taiwan center, I realized I missed Embiid. Embiid is the only spacing center that is available to play ISO ball consistently. He fits in basically every lineup. However, nobody uses him in peak anymore. He used to be the best pair with Harden, but unfortunately Global released Harden after Hakeem. And then Malone will be coming in next week. Both of them are better alternatives than Embiid. The second reason is he is trash without stacks. Why are you using a center that is going to be a liability the first minute of the game? It sometimes costs you a game. Now at last Ben Wallace, one of the best centers in the game. However, he cannot space at all, so he only plays in ISO lineups. While having insane defense, he provides literally nothing offensively. People in Taiwan like to pair him up with scorers that have good defense. Pierce is one of them. However, the scoring efficiency of this lineup is slowly out of meter. People replaced him with Prime Bron, who has 3 speed boosts per possession and a 240 block. And now his pair would be Prime Bron to form a pure defensive lineup. That's basically the end of the video. See you next time.